is Abhishek Jain, and in today's video, I just wanted to explain how you can automate the API endpoint testing in just 7 lines of codes by using a 3 Python library known as request, JSON, and deep. So let's get into the coding part and see how can we achieve it. So just to show you that in a quick manner, what I have done is I have just created a small web service, a small web server by using a fast API web framework, which exposes me two endpoints, uh, the slash. So this API is running on localhost on my host machine on port number 8000. So there are two endpoints, which is the slash and the details. Let me just change the name of so that we can let me just put this details, and let me just change this to full details. Okay, so these are two very simple endpoints. Okay, let me quickly check. Yeah, application startup, it's running fine. And then I have to just show you how it returns me the data. So if I just hit localhost running on port 8000, and if I just put details, this is the JSON data I'm getting, where we have name, age, and occupation. But for your use case in real time, there would be a very complicated API JSON response, and your URL will be different. And similarly, if I just change this to full details, then this is what I'm going to get as a JSON response. So let's try to see how we can automate this by just writing a 7 line of code. So the very first thing which I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a file called test API endpoints. Okay, so now you need three modules. The very first one is request. Since it's not the part of a standard library, you have to install it. To install it, it's very straightforward. All you need is just pip install request, and another one is pip install the div. This is the second library which you're gonna use. So let me just import in deep div. We have to import div. Okay, and then the last one is import JSON. So these are the three libraries which we need. And now I just gonna hit the request. Since it's a get request, I can show you that it's my get request, and so I'm just putting this request.get. Then I have to provide a URL. It's HTTP, and your URL will be different based on what API endpoint you are trying to automate. And then I have to just provide the details. Okay, and this will have JSON, which will give me a JSON data. So let me just save this to a local variable called response underscore JSON. And this way I can get, the response of this API endpoint. Now, the next thing is whenever we have to test our API automation, we have some baseline test data, right? So let's create that baseline test data for this details endpoint. Let me just copy it. Okay, so let me just save it in. Oh, it's already there. Right, so let me save baseline test API endpoint data.json. Let's see whether it's there. Okay, so now we have that. So let me just quickly copy the name of this. And now what I have to do, I have to just get this data into the Python code. So to get that, I'm just gonna use one of the method from a JSON library, which is load. I just explained in my previous video what's the purpose of using load, since we want to read the JSON objects from our file. So we're gonna use json.load, and then I have to just provide the file descriptor or the file object name, which is in our case is file reader, and it will load the data. And then let me just save this to a baseline test data, against which I just wanted to compare whether the response I am getting with the API endpoint is matching with that or not. And based on that, I can say whether API endpoint is working fine or not. Here I'm just gonna use the div, and here I have to just provide both the JSON object which I wanted to verify. So what deep diff does is, it's just compare the JSON object, all the nested elements or any kind of complicated JSON object you can pass here. So first one is baseline test data, and another one is response JSON. And this deep diff has a lot of flexibilities and feature. Hopefully, I mean, if you guys are interested, if I just get enough requests in the comment section, then what I'm going to do, I will just create a detailed video on a deep diff, what all other flexibilities and feature that provides to us. Now, I think it's pretty much it. So if I just remove this comment, let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have written 7 line of code. Let's see. Okay, let me just open another terminal here and let me just run this. Okay, so now there is nothing. It seems like everything is working fine. Let me just print the output of this. I know that what's gonna happen. I'm not just gonna get the empty dict. Okay, now you can see since there is no chain, so we are getting this empty dict. Let me change this to software negative. Okay, let's see what happens now. Same code, but I'm just changing the baseline and just see whether I can get the value I changed or not. So that is how you will see the value changed. For which value? Occupation tags. The new value is software tester. The old value was software tester negative. It means that your baseline test data was expecting this, whereas your response is being returned as a software tester, which is a new value, right? That's one option. The another one, it could be don't change the value, but change the tag instead. Okay, so now run this and see what we get. Okay, now we just get the dictionary item added. It means that the occupation is removed. So what value we have added? So in our baseline we have this occupation 1, whereas in our response occupation 1 is not there, right? So the response which we are getting that says that this occupation 1 has been removed. So in response we do not have this occupation, right? Whereas in our baseline data we have this occupation 1. So that's the reason it says that in response, since we are not getting this occupation 1, it has been removed. Whereas this added occupation is added means that in response we have this occupation which is not in our baseline, right? So you can just read through the documentation and just understand how this deep diff provides the output, and then you can just put assertion logic here based on the output you are getting, which you can see on my screen, right? You can read through with this and you can just assert whether your API endpoint is working fine or not, right? So that is how, by using these 3 major libraries, you can easily do that, right? The other thing is, rather than changing anything, you can hit the another API endpoints, don't change anything else. In this, we know that, if you run this time, let's see what happens. In full details, if I just go back to here, it's having name, age, and occupation details, and in full details, we just have additional tag that is application type. It means that in response, you have this one. So let's see what it tells. It tells the dictionary item added, this application which is in there in response, but it is not there in your baseline, right? So it's able to capture that as well, right? So that is how you can easily automate the API by just 7 line of codes. But now you can put this into some standardization or some automation framework which you have in place, depending upon how you are structuring your code in your customer environment. And that is what I wanted to cover for today's video. And if you have any feedback and suggestion which you want to give it to me, or if is there any other topic which you want me to cover, just feel free to put that into the comment section. I will read them through and try to just see how can I improve my future video. And if there is a request for a new topic, I will try to just come up with a video for that topic as well. So as always, thanks for watching this, and stay healthy and keep learning a new things.